Hey there, creative minds and business enthusiasts. Welcome to Looks Like We Made It, the podcast where we dive deep into the dynamic world of video marketing, content creation, and all things creative. I'm Izzy, your guide through this creative journey, wearing two hats, head of production and senior video editor. But I'm not in this alone, and technically I am kind of in this alone, but I'm not alone. You're not today. You're not meeting the other half of our dynamic duo, my dad Chris. You are meeting Shane Knox from Not A Statistic Northeast. But today I will be the creative genius behind Howell Media and all of our other stuff. So together we're not just a podcast, we're a father-daughter team on a mission to bring you insights, tips and laughs from the heart of the creative industry. Whether you're a business looking to up your video game or a budding creative hungry for knowledge, this is the place to be. We've got real life experiences, expert advice and a sprinkle of anecdotes to keep things interesting. So if you're ready to unlock the power of video, bespoke content and training to achieve amazing results, you're in the right spot. Fasten your seatbelts because this is Looks Like We Made It, where we turn creativity into success, one episode at a time. Let's go. Hello,
well
Shane.
Well done, I like that.
So I say we, it is just me today, unfortunately, because, I say unfortunately, but you'll be fine with that. But you had to pick a Howell and you've got me, but because Chris is on a shoot and therefore he has all of our kit. So this is a slightly different setup than we normally have. And we have just moved. So we are in a very different spot than we were before. So it is still a work in progress. So you are kind of our first guest in our new spot. And how does it feel?
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I mean, I love the Bic as it is, but I think, it's good to have you here.
Fabulous. Wow. So Shane, we talked about you coming on the podcast. You are a listener of our podcast as well, yes. Which is great. It's always a good start. And when we first caught up, you told me about what it is that you do, and I think it's absolutely awesome. But could you tell our lovely listeners what Not A Statistic Northeast is?
Yeah, so it's constantly changing, it feels like. But what we do is we run peer-to-peer support groups. So we started in the Beacon of Light on a Thursday and a Friday night, and we alternated it for a bit, and then we're on a Thursday night now. So every week we're open to anyone to come in on a Thursday night, 7 or 9 p.m. It's like Andy's Man Club, but we're there for Andy, his mum, and his sister and his brother, and all his network. So it's open to anyone over the age of 16, just because purely some of the conversations we're getting here about suicide and stuff, it can be triggering and stuff, and don't really want to bring kids into it, into that sort of environment. But then now we're in the old rectory in Houghton as well. Mm-hmm. And then, as I said on the way up here, we've just got some funding as well, so we're going to be going for another 3 venues as well. So one in Durham, one in South Shields, and potentially another Sunderland one, I think. So we're going for another 3 venues this year. So
that's amazing.
It's really good. We get about 5 to 6 people a night. It's mostly like maybe 4 or 5 of them want people to come all the time, but then you get the odd new person, and then it's kind of like just getting them into the environment and stuff. The Beacon, it's like a little family now. It's weird. It's like because it started out being about mental health, but now we kind of realised it's more about social isolation, because when you go through things like losing a partner or having an argument with family or something, you isolate yourself off and you end up having no one. And then so these groups kind of give people a place to come and have a chat with complete strangers, really, but then you become friends and people end up going out for coffees and that, or going out on nights out and stuff, and it's good. For me, peer support saved my life. I think that's Space Northeast, which is another one on a Wednesday night. It's a men's group. Like, I wouldn't be here without that group, and Owen, one of my trustees, I would never have met him without that group. So I think for me it was something that's needed in the area, something that's not provided by the NHS or anybody else on an evening, and it's just needed in like safe spaces for people to go and help them grow a little bit. And to be honest, I think it's mad that one person who's been coming for a very long time, she turned around the other week and said, "Isn't it mad how different we are from the first session a couple of years ago to now? We're all so happy." And then next person we're talking to was really sad because he's not seen his daughter, and she went, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." And I was like, "No, you're right though." I was like, and it's like for someone who's got massive amounts of depression and has had depression for years, for her to say that we're happy, that's massive for me. Yeah. And for us to be able to do it for free is brilliant as well. And I think that's where I like to keep it that way, that we're doing it for free. I think it's been good. We did 340 hours of free support last year. Wow. Individual support. This year we're aiming for about 1,700.
That's incredible.
So it's definitely keeping us busy. But it's good.
And it's amazing that you got that funding as well that's coming your way.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's
it opens up some doors, and it
Yeah.
opens up a little bit. It's like, because I said as well that we literally the month before we got it saying we'd got £1,000 from someone, and I'm going, whoa! I was like, and for me that's taking your foot off the gas a little bit, money. Whereas the National Lottery stepped in and given us 20 grand, and so that's a massive step off the gas. But then I haven't stepped off the gas, and I'm going for it. And so I'm saying there's going to be 3 more sessions. There might be a 4th if I can get a free session somewhere. So yeah, it's definitely filling up my diary.
Yeah,
But,
it'll keep you busy, that's for sure.
it will, and I think it keeps me right as well. I think that's a good thing about it. As much as I don't take a pay from Not A Statistic, I don't, because we are a community interest company. All the money goes back into it. Like, I think for me, I get a lot from the groups themselves. Because last night I managed to go and it's a Houghton group, and Janine has taken over. She ran the group, so I was able to basically put my feet up. And if anything, I was being a bit of a nuisance, which was fantastic. We've implemented a system of like yellow cards and red cards, because our only rules we really got is no politics or religion, no Rangers or Celtic, and what was the other ones? And like everything that's said in the room stays in the room, and it's basically that. But unless there's something that we're worried about you or you're going to hurt someone else, then we'll talk about it as adults at the end. We've never had that situation, touch wood. So we've got like a yellow card and a red card system. Really, we've just started implementing. I've only really given people yellow cards. I got my first red card last Thursday, when someone else was facilitating, and then yesterday I nearly got a red card, just because I was just being an arse. And one of the reasons we're in the Beacon of Light as our first group is because it's next door to this Stadium of Light, if nobody knows where that is. So in the Foundation of Light, which is the Sunderland FC's like foundation, they actually pay for our room. So we were paying for our room originally, and they added us into their Game of Two Halves, which is their kind of ongoing battle against men's mental health issues. So they've funded our room as well, and every time they put out its men's mental health, I keep on saying with so much more. You have your own women's group, and you fund us, which we're a mixed group, and I think it's very much that conversation. And because I think it is getting past that now, that there was a massive emphasis on men's mental health, but then we've kind of forgotten that like there might be the massive men's suicide rate, but there's still a women's suicide rate. And just because women aren't successfully committing suicide doesn't mean they aren't attempting it. And I think for me, it's if I can help one person, then I'm good. But then I think it's very much gone from one person helping thousands. And like now we've had our 300th attendee last week.
That's incredible.
So I think it is very much like I didn't realise how well it would go, and how well it could go. And I think we're definitely not the levels of like Andy's Man Club and stuff, and I don't want to get to that level, because I don't want to have 260 sessions on the go and have like the amount of issues they must have safeguarding wise, and because they have massive numbers. They have, in Sunderland, the 2 groups alone, they had 63 people this week.
Wow. I suppose the more intimate settings maybe provoke different kinds of conversations, different kinds of storytelling.
But then lads go, like, I know one lad was mentioning, there's one of the groups that they go in, it's like the Andy Man groups, and they have the happy group and the newbies group. So it's like the happy group are just people who just go, just have a laugh. And it's literally their only contact outside of work, and it's really sad. And I think it's like, for me, it was like I would literally go to work, go home, go to bed, get back up and go to work. And if you're not working in an environment where you have work friends or you have space to do that, then you're not really having any communication at all. When it becomes that your own mental health starts struggling, and I think I think of it for me, it has been spirals for years for me, and I think it is now. It's why I work in mental health as well, and I think it's that.
Totally.
I think it's
and as well, it's like the loneliness epidemic almost as well, is that there is such a major mental health crisis in the UK to begin with. I mean, waiting lists are through the roof, and I mean, I'm not getting political. We're not a political podcast, but it's obviously, I think the pandemic obviously had a huge impact on that, and then the loneliness element is huge, and it's also people that you least expect as well. So like the people who work from home, who have a good job or maybe a well-paying job. It's not always about money, or mothers with children. I've been through that myself, and that there's always an element of everyone's got some kind of something that that hurts, a little bit of pain that they carry. And I think it's great that you've created this space for people to unashamedly come together and talk about that, because at the minute it's quite a it's a very, very important thing to be doing.
I think the importance of it rings true every now and again when we get the person who's really struggling.
Yeah.
And I think for that we're doing some work at the minute around safety planning and stuff like that. We do within NHS and mental health that you have a safety plan, or like a RAP plan, which is a wellness recovery plan. And so in a community you would do that, or you would do a safety plan very quickly. It's how to keep yourself safe and what family need to know to keep you safe and stuff like that. So we're looking at implementing that in the groups as well, and we're taking part in focus groups and stuff to try and open up the conversation about it, because they are proven to save lives. And I think it's not something that the NHS should just be doing on alone. They should be bringing us all in, because like you said, the waiting lists and stuff, but the waiting lists were there before the pandemic, and then things kind of stopped, and then the lists didn't get any smaller, and then the lists have just grown. And so when I first started with NHS, I was working in a community treatment team, and our waiting list was well over 350 people.
Wow.
And most of them have been waiting over 3 years. And I think it was like, that was scary for me. And I think that, like, wow, like there's a lot of people waiting. And by the time, because we were ringing them up monthly as well, we had a list of people we'd ring up every month. And so we were ringing them up and stuff. And now people I'd speak to, they've been waiting for years, and they kind of sorted out their own stuff anyway. They didn't really need us anymore. So we were discharging them out, and the list was shrinking. And it was just like, because there's so many people on the list just waiting for something they don't really need anymore. And I think it's the system is broken. I've heard that said a lot, and I tend to agree with it a little bit. I think that a lot of the system is broken. The way we do things isn't fit for the 21st century, really. It's kind of back in the 80s, in the 90s. And like, but then now it's like, there's very much, be quite careful because I still work for them, but it's like it's very one-sided, and it's very much people who've been in doing it for like 20 plus years, and they go, well, this is how it works. And I'm like, oh no, it's like you just have to change it a little bit and bring people along. And I think there's finally things being talked about, getting peer support groups for ADHD people and stuff, because the waiting lists for ADHD are insane across the UK. And like, I think it's Leeds and the Leeds partnership, they've stopped their adult list, as in you can't get put on it now. They've stopped their list dead until they try and figure something out. Whereas basically the pathway is you get your assessment eventually. It took me 2 years from mine, and you get treatment, as in medication, or you're discharged. And that's the only thing. There's no sort of peer support or even any education around how to help yourself. It's just literally gone. And you get given a pamphlet, I think. And I never went down that path. I went the medication route, and I think it's everybody's own choice. But then now they're starting looking in Cumbria anyway. It's some really exciting things going up there, where they're looking at peer support groups for people on the waiting list as well, so they can come along. And there is some really good groups in the Sunderland area that are here that do good support as well. So I think it is very much, if there's anybody that's ever looking for a support group, just look up like us, or then I try to signpost as many as I can as well. You just try, and because it's not as much as we hold groups twice a week, like there's other times that people struggle, and there's other groups you can support, and there's other things you can do, like going on walks and stuff like that. It's walking groups. There's loads going on in Sunderland. We're actually pretty lucky when it comes to it, and to be honest, you'll probably find a veteran running it, and which is a good thing. It's how I started off here with a BIC, is a veterans RV project. Anthony McDermott and John Forth ran, and so they gave me 12 weeks of free business courses basically to start my branding, get everything going.
That's amazing.
And I met so many veterans on that course who are in it to make lives better for people. And I think they very much we are doing that, and I think that's so I didn't realise how many of us there was, and the veteran connection of it. And I think it is because we've all moved home, essentially. This isn't really technically home for me, it is now, but we all moved back from the forces and trying to build a bit of that community that we had in the forces, because we all still talk to our mates and stuff like that, but then we don't see each other ever. Like, I haven't seen some of my mates in nearly 20 years, and I think that's mad. But then it's building that community here.
Yeah,
and I think
totally.
I think that's what we are doing. We're building little communities of people that are all just as mad as each other. And
well, that's always the best part, I think, as well, is that you get to you get to meet like-minded people. You get to feel not alone. You get to kind of develop maybe interests you never knew you had, and explore new things as well. And I think because for me, when I had my daughter, and I went through a window of sort of being quite unhappy, and I think the bit that caught my attention was when I would see other people talking about the same thing, particularly online, talking about different things that help them through social media, and you kind of cling to other people potentially through your screen that can give you some guidance and give you some hope. So really, like, how do you get those 300 people? How do you get those people who come to you? Is it through word of mouth, or how else do you go out and promote yourself as a CIC?
I think a lot of it can be just on the ground, sticking random QR code stickers up and sticking posters in places like the bridges. There was someone that came last night, she'd seen the poster on the bridges. I thought the bridges staff had literally thrown it in the bin. I've never seen it, the poster. I just thought it disappeared, but she'd seen it in the bridges and she'd come. So I was like, it's definitely still there. And most of the QR code stickers, we did stick up nearly 300. Most of them are gone now because unfortunately someone's been pasting some not very nice words around Sunderland about the council and stuff. So the council's kind of gone on a bit of a just rip everything down. Yeah. So some of the QR codes are still getting seen and stuff. But then I think it is word of mouth. It is things like Andy's Man Club signposting people to us. They feel like it's really destroying their life, and it's like, and it might be that someone else that's in the groups felt that and being like, do you know what, I've been there, and like this is kind of how I got out of it. And things like sleep and stuff, talking about sleep. Like last night we had a really good conversation around sleep, and I'd said one thing that I'd been told from another group that was like, when you get up in the morning, make your bed. When I've started making my bed, my sleep has actually become a little bit better.
That's amazing.
And I think it's what I'd said to someone last night, so she's way home to try it. Like, she's going to actually get up in the morning and make her bed. And so it's you're going into the environment, it's not you're having to make your bed before you get in it, your bed's made. And like
it automatically makes you feel more relaxed as well. I'm trying to, I mean, life with a toddler means that I can't do as much housework and things that I want to do, but I'm trying to rather than even things like, I don't know, just something simple as hanging something up or putting something away or pulling the duvet across or whatever. It's always like in your head you think, oh God, just for some reason I just can't be asked, and that'll take me 2 seconds. But the impact it has is quite big in your day, and it makes you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it's like having a space that you can go to. It's shut down and be able to sleep. I think it's very, like, we underestimate the importance of sleep, and I think because that can change my week completely if I have a bad night. Totally. And I think it can show because I work on a Tuesday and a Thursday night now, obviously with the groups. But I think it can show very quickly, because if I'm tired, I'm yawning at like 7 o'clock at night, and I'm yawning whilst people are talking, and I'm apologising, going, I'm really sorry. Like I'm really sorry, and like it can affect me, and I'll be knackered the next day. But I think that's where it comes to me being good to myself and not signing up for 20 million networking events, which is what I keep on doing. But then that's how I met your dad, and then ended up coming across you, and then come across the podcast, and here I am.
Look where you are now.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Palace of Dreams. I think it's, and that's it. It's like, I think, and networking can really, really take it out of you when you're reaching out to so many people, and that fatigue of talking to so many people as well. Luckily on this podcast, you're going to be talking to many, many people all at the same time. So you're kind of ticking that box. I find with my sort of Fitbit smartwatchy thing, it tells me, it tracks my sleep. I don't know if yours does the same. Does, but like sometimes I'll be there going, oh, I had a terrible night's sleep and I was tossing and turning. And I'll look at my watch and it'll say that I slept for like 8.5 hours, and I'll be like, oh, well, I can't really complain about that. But then other times it does kind of keep you right in terms of, like, if I know that I've only had like 5 hours or something, I might be kinder to myself that day. But like that kind of technology is really useful. And I had a question, which was basically, because you're delivering these sessions, you're running this CIC, you're doing all this awesome stuff. How do you balance your own mental health and having to almost, like, you're not responsible, but you're facilitating the support for lots of other people at the same time? How do you find that balance?
Well, I think for me, it used to be a really hard question, that one, and I did cringe a little bit when you said it. I was like, oh no. But
no.
I think...
You feel free to not answer.
No, I think it is. I think for me, it is so intertwined in my own mental health now. I think that the success of this thing is kind of intertwined to how my well-being is. and I think it is successful. I can quite happily say that we've got 2 successful groups, and if we never had more than 2, then we're okay. But I want to have more than 2, and that's what I was working on before. I'm working on the growth map of like where we're going and what we're doing, just to roadmap it. But I think for me it is so much easier to help others than it is to help myself, and a little bit, whilst I'm giving people advice, it's kind of ingrained in my head a little bit as well. So things like we were talking about, someone was saying like she doesn't make plans ahead, or she's always constantly thinking of the past, and I'm like, well, there's like a really good quote, which I hate the fact of where I found the quote, because it was from British Maths, like Married at First Sight, and it was a lad who'd said it on there, but it's like, be where your feet are, so keep your head where your feet are, and I think it's very much, for me, that's something I live by, that mantra now, that it's like, I don't think too far ahead, and I don't look too far in the past, and I think it's like, just be where your feet are, and I think I try to keep to that, and I try to even get my kids to do that now, because having 2 boys who are nearly 10, both nearly 10,
Wow,
and like, so
busy as well.
yeah, and they both have ADHD. Like, one's got a diagnosis, the other one hasn't yet, but they definitely do keep me busy, and I think it is the keeping them stimulated as well without it just being on a screen. And I think that's very much why I was interested about yourself and your dad when I heard about this podcast, and I'd heard Chris talking at the platform event and stuff about how he's worked together and stuff, is because my kids are adamant they're working with me when they're older.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's like, I'm adamant that they probably will end up working with me, because Andrew isn't going to go to a mainstream school. He's not. He's not his environment, but he's the smartest kid I've ever met. He knows so much about science. It's insane. But like, he can barely write. Like, he can write, but it's really jumbled, and he just struggles because of his ADHD. And I think the education set is not right for him. But then eventually he wants to be a YouTuber, and I know most kids say that, but the 2 of them have already worked out a plan. They've even come to me and said, you need to build your social media their presence, Dad, because we need to piggyback off you.
If you want to bring them on the podcast with you next time, feel free,
God.
because I'm sure they'll be able to do a better job than I can.
Well, that's it. I think they've fully got they've been watching streamers for years now, so I think it's like they've got their own ideas of what they want to do, and I need to build my social media presence so they can piggyback off the back of it. And
I mean, that's the thing, like, I think and that's really interesting to have kids as young as 10 nearly, did you say? That they are thinking about their careers and working with you as well, which is amazing, because I mean me and Chris started working together pretty organically, but I mean there was a transition from Chris's, obviously by default he's older than me, but there was a bit of a transition from me being the daughter and the kid to then being part of the business and us working together, and we've learned over the years that you have to be quite strict with which hat you're wearing. So, you know, some I say to people that when people ask how we do it, is that I will see my dad throughout the week, and I can say all this stuff because he's not here. I'll see him throughout the week, and we'll be working on projects, and then I'll see him on the weekend, and it feels like I haven't seen him all week, because we are in a different headspace, and we're not sat in an office, we're not looking at our computers, but it's a great space to, particularly in the creative stuff, particularly when you're doing stuff that's not heavily technical, to be in a family space. It's great for anyone who has possible neurodivergence or anything that means that you can be more authentic, you can be more yourself, and you can be as flexible as you want. So you can say to a point, you can say whatever you like, and we try and do that on the podcast, where hopefully, I mean, it feels funny because you only ever dealt with me, and Chris is yet to meet you and your team, but we are the same, hopefully, both on air and off air. So.
Yeah, no, I think it is definitely. I think it is. I got that because I'd obviously seen Chris talking to Paul at the platform event and stuff, and I got that from the podcast. And when I met you, it was like very much like, I think when I did meet you, I was kind of fangirling a little bit because I was like, Jesus, the podcast is meant. I was like, and like, it's hard to keep, like, because I did think about starting my own podcast and stuff like that, but there is a lot going on.
Yeah.
I did speak to someone the other day, and he was keen for me to start a podcast because he's about setting up podcast spaces and that. I think you actually had a meeting with him the other day. I think you saw you in the atrium.
Oh, is it the Clearenton team? Yeah, they're great.
So I met them at one of the platform events and stuff, and like they were keen and stuff, and I was like maybe eventually, but like for now, like he's not on the cards right now, and I know people with podcast spaces and stuff, and like Like, I think it's that, and plus the Culture House is getting set up, and it's going to have a free podcast space in it.
That's
stuff.
incredible.
And
I think podcasting is. I mean, it was through talking to Peter that I learned that the Northeast has like the highest density of podcast studios than pretty much anywhere in the UK.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself just proves that the format does work. I mean, as our listeners will discover, that there is a gap between our last release and this one because we have obviously other things get in the way. Often, you know, we've been so busy. Sometimes we're not as good at kind of keeping on top of when things get released, and you know that in itself is quite hard because you sort of set yourself a deadline and you set yourself more work. But I think the response and the way it's kind of worked within our business has worked really well. So we sometimes will. It's a great kind of like bridge for us because if we go networking or we go somewhere and weirdly there'll be people who've heard our podcast but they haven't met us yet, or they haven't even sort of put the two and two together, and then they realise that we are actually real people and we are here. It does have a good level of gravitas or credibility with our business. So for us it opens doors, I think, more than social media. But we kind of, for us, it wasn't ever a sort of strategic, we're going to do it to make money, we've got sales, we've got plans. Really, it just opens doors to conversations and it gets more businesses involved. And for anyone, so if there are people out there who want to set up a CIC like you did, who want to forge a similar path to you and maybe in a different area in the UK or beyond, we have listeners all over the world, like what is your best advice you would give someone who wants to do something for the community, who wants to make a difference, particularly maybe in the realms of mental health? Like, what is it that you would suggest? Maybe just stay away from, don't do it.
I would just say don't do it. I think for me it is very much that make sure it's right for you. It's a big commitment. When I first started, I had to step away because I did like a month or two of like pilot sessions, and then I had to step away because my work at the time had asked me to step away while they did a conflict of interest check. So I had to stop the group, and then it was very quickly I was letting people down, and it was very quickly that was a big burden. There was people who were relying on coming to the group and enjoyed the group, and then suddenly the group wasn't there. It is a big responsibility, but that's like have a go, and I think never listen to the people who tell you it's not going to work. Because for me, I've constantly been told you need to filter down your audience, you need to grow down so you're focusing on a set demographic. I focus on everyone, and I think I've gone, well, I don't, and again I don't, and I've unapologetically done that, and it's worked out fantastic for me. And I think it is because there doesn't need to be as many boundaries of it. I was thinking about it this morning on the way to the book. I was like, there's that many boundaries that the NHS have got in place in other places like Mind and all your other charities and stuff. They've got all these boundaries that you can't go to certain groups because you're a man, you can't go to certain groups because you're a woman, you can't go because you're not this age, you can't go because you are this age. It's like there's too many boundaries stopping people from attending, and even cost, like charging people to attend to things. I think I think it's scary. And it's getting that I've got the social side down, as in the kick. We're doing the social thing, that's giving things away for free, but the enterprise thing, if you're going to do it, make sure that you've got a funding stream. If you're going to be a kick, that you have a bit of trade. Now, some people tell you need to do 60 to 80%, that's absolute rubbish. You don't need to do 60 to 80% trade. Even if you do like 20%, just have a bit of a bottom line so you can pay yourself really, because I don't pay myself. And I think that's what I'm getting to now, is I'm going, do you know what, if I'm going to have 5 groups a week, that's a lot. And it's a lot of work, and it's a lot for free. And there's other people I've spoken who haven't taken a wage from other things they do, and like the people I'm talking about here is like they have football sessions all over the UK, and like they don't take a wage, and they fund their own trips down to Millwall and stuff, and they don't take a wage from it.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, but I'm like, but yeah, okay. I was like, but then it's obviously that money could be used to enjoy their own time with their, because like for me, it's like, since we got this funding, I don't have to bootstrap as much, like as in pay for it myself, and so things like the website and stuff are covered now. So I've got that money back in my bank account. So this weekend I went to the aquarium with the kids and the money was gone very quickly. But
it can be quite pricey there.
yeah, so like, I took them to the aquarium and stuff, and like, and it was just that bit of a day out, you know what I mean? And like, it felt weird not looking at my bank account and being a little bit fearful. But then I think it is having that and knowing who to speak to for funding. I think people like the BIC and stuff are fantastic for business support. People like Sunderland Voluntary Alliance, they're brilliant for helping you with funding and things, but there is other things out there. I think it is, if you're thinking of starting a group in your own area, like find somewhere near like a housing development that's being built, because they normally have pockets of money that they'll pay out. And so they all support like paying for venue costs and stuff, and that's mainly what I got covered in the very beginning, is venue costs, and I'd cover the teas and coffees myself and stuff, whereas now I have funding for that as well, so I don't have to do that. But I think it is very much, it's just look after yourself as well, making sure you've got a bit of a team. You've got the people. I did learn very early on there was someone who wanted to come along on the journey, and they probably weren't the right person, and luckily they aren't along for the journey now. They wouldn't have been the right person because they wanted to get a wage out of it, and that's not, as much as eventually we will. Now, it's not. We're not even 2 years old yet. I think it is building up that trust with the grant funders that they're not just paying a wage. And but it is that. Just take it slow, having the right conversations, networking events, never fear away from them. I went to one at Barclays the other day with the Growth Lab, and I was like, I'm not going to get anything for this. It's mostly about business loans and stuff. And I went, and it was actually really good. And I learned the term bootstrapping. I didn't realise I'd been doing it for years. And I made contact with someone who runs Sunderland Music City, and now they've come wanting to collab on some stuff this year. So I'm like, right, okay, yeah, spot on.
It's amazing,
So
and I think that's where the momentum really kicks in, because like we found, as I was saying before, we're kind of meeting one person and they're either personally or professionally connected to someone else, and then someone else, and then the kind of momentum keeps growing. But it is important to look after yourself, particularly within the cause that you're working towards. You've got to put yourself first as well, and that's something that we as a business, I mean, we've tried on lots of different styles, and we've tried on lots of different ways of working, and obviously over the past decade we've had things like the pandemic, we've had things that have made us kind of pick up and pack up somewhere else, and you know, we've had lots of different things. And I think when you find that stride, you gotta as one of our kind of business friends says, you've got to work in the blue of your flame. You've got to kind of find that bit that makes you feel like you're right in the heat of it. But I mean, that is absolutely fascinating. And how can, so last but not least, before I get on to it's not really a silly question. I always have a silly question at the end, and I need to, if you have one I can steal, I need to know, because I'm rubbish at thinking of them. But how can people find you? How can they get involved? How can, if they're needing support, how can people reach out and get started?
Yeah, so on our website or on our Facebook, we're Not A Statistic on there, and so you can reach out. Don't reach out through Facebook Messenger, it's a bit dodgy, but we've got a WhatsApp number and stuff on there, text message. More happy to meet up for a coffee beforehand. Met up with someone last night, I'm meeting up with someone on Thursday, because we do understand the hardest bit is getting through the door. If you've never been to this sort of group, it is hard. You do see people who come in and they'll just waltz in and make a coffee and stuff, but that's because they've been to another group, and you can tell that straight away. But then it's like the people who are edging around the door and don't really know, and I'll normally be stood outside with a purple t-shirt on, can't miss us, just trying to get people to come in. And I think it is very much just reach out if you need support. And I think it's like, it doesn't have to be about the groups. If you want to support in other ways, you can come and volunteer for us. Like, we're always looking for facilitators, people to come and volunteer for a bit and then take over the sessions. For me to run 5 in a week is going to be impossible with other commitments, so I need people in areas to come and have a go. I'm really lucky in Houghton, I've got Janine, really lucky. But then I've been really hard pushed trying to get anyone for the Beacon. Like, I don't know what it is, I don't know what the environment, or people just don't want to go there. I need to find some Newcastle fans or something and bring them in. That'll be funny, that'll be hilarious. But yeah.
No comment on that one, but I think that's awesome, and I think as long as people know that they can just get in touch, and it doesn't matter what it's about.
Yeah, no, I'm on LinkedIn as well, so just hit us up.
As a listener of our podcast, you'll know I come up with a question at the end, And at this point,
Well, I might pinch one that Owen came up with last night. As in, I say he came up with, he went to ChatGPT for it last night. So if there was a book of your life, what would the title be?
Oh, that is a good one. That may win the award for the best one we've had yet.
Yeah, see, I'm good at these because we do these questions at the end of our group.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's
I was going to ask you what you were going to have for lunch or something. That just shows my level of creativity today. I think for me it would be... I don't know. What's yours? Give me I imagine you've thought of yours by this point.
Well, I know I gave an answer last night. I won't give you the answer. It's quite a lot of swearing out.
We're a child-friendly podcast.
I'll steer away from that one. The Wonderful Mystery World of Mr. Knox.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one.
Quite mysterious, quite mystical.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very much, there's going to be lots of crashing and banging in it and lots of bouncing off things.
I think mine would be something like, I mean, to be fair, a book about my life would probably just be like an editor's manual, or it would be like a kind of like a filmmaking guide. But mine would probably be something like, I don't know, make sure you hit save. Because I think a lot of the biggest setbacks in my life have come from where I haven't done that, and the
save frequently.
Yeah, the poetry behind that is could be quite powerful. But thank you so much, Shane, for coming on the podcast. How'd you find it?
No, thanks for having me. It was fab.
Excellent. Well, you're more than welcome to come back on any time, particularly when you've got big stuff happening with Not A Statistic coming up soon. Use us as your platform if you need to shout about it to the world. So that's always an open invite. But
I didn't even mention the bungee swing.
I thought I would get away with it. Okay, go on then.
Okay, yeah. So end of May we're going to be doing a bungee swing, and Issy's agreed. So up in Kinross somewhere, the Highland bungee swing. So going to get 8 of us to jump off the bottom of a bridge. For charity.
I like how you said Izzy's agreed before I said anything. But
you said yes.
I did.
You said you'd maybe say yes. So I was like, yes.
Okay, I'll take that. So what is it that I'm going to be doing?
Getting strapped to the underside of a bridge by like a release lever and a harness, and then they release you and you basically swing down towards a wall.
I mean, will I stop before I hit the
wall?
No,
you don't go anywhere near the wall.
Thank God.
It's a bungee swing.
So is it not like bungee jumping?
No, it's like you're released and it kind of like drops down and then swings out.
Okay. I mean, as long as I...
It's like a crazy rope swing.
Okay, I mean, I'll take that.
Crazy.
I'll take that. I think as long as...
I did promise a wine cooler as well. So.
As long as I survive to continue doing this podcast, that would be a good
no,
start.
I'm definitely surviving. There's no way that...
Good. I mean...
But they let 10-year-olds do it apparently. So.
Yeah, but they say that, but I mean...
Yeah, I know.
So
if you look it up on TikTok, Highland bungee swing, like, yeah.
Okay, well, I've apparently provisionally said yes, so I will see you there. But Chris he isn't conveniently unavailable, but he won't be able to, because if anyone knows Chris, you'll know that he is basically lucky to be alive at this point. So he's done a lot of adrenaline related things in the past that have left him fairly battered and bruised on the inside. So he is what we call uninsurable. So he will probably be watching from the sidelines, but when I do that with you, I'll be able to potentially provide.
You're not the only one. There's lots of people who owe me favours or getting roped into it. You're not the only one. You're not the only one doing it unwillingly. Like my partner Leanne's doing it unwillingly. My dad's refused.
Unwillingly is the best way to do it. I think you'll have to just drag me.
Like I don't want to do it. I don't. This is the best option. It's either jump out of a plane or get swung under a bridge.
I don't know which I prefer, or both at the same time.
Like Leanne's jumped out of a plane before, and so's Hina, because Hina's doing it as well.
How high is the bridge?
A couple hundred feet.
Okay, well, I'm going to end this podcast here before you get me to do anything else crazy. So we will be back in our new setup every other Tuesday, so feel free to look out for Looks Like We Made It wherever you get your podcasts, and we are Howell Media and Looks Like We Made It. If you want to be a guest just like Shane, just head to our website or drop us a message and you are more than welcome to come on. So I haven't found my outro, I will probably find it somewhere, but that is it for today. Thank you very much. See you later.
Thank you.